Okay, so today I'm going to be building my perfect book. This is a video that I challenged Daniel to do a while ago because I thought it would be interesting if he did it. He then challenged me to do it. I probably should have seen that coming. So let's do it. Daniel set up a bunch of categories for this, which I did not provide for him. He built this video, really. He set up a bunch of categories to do. I think I got them all. I might have missed one or two, but I think I got them all. And then he set some rules out. It has to be a cohesive book. He even said what his book is going to be about that he's building. Not that he's writing, just like building for this fictional scenario. I am going to disregard his rules because I read a lot of genres and I wanted to include a lot of my favorite authors. So this book is not going to be cohesive. It's not gonna work well together with all these authors, but I'm doing it anyway.
This sounds rather easy, right? Just go through, pick your favorite authors, throw them together, spit them out, you got something. No, that would be a chaotic mess.
It's gonna be a mess. Also because people keep asking, Oathbringer isn't on the shelf because I'm currently rereading it, so it's in another room. Let's get started. And we're gonna kick it off. The first category that we're gonna cover is tone. Which author is going to set the tone of the book? And the author I chose is, I don't actually know how to say her name correctly, Daphne du Maurier, the author of Rebecca. I'm actually currently reading my second book by her, my cousin Rachel. And I love the way this author I love the tones of her book. She writes gothic fiction, which is one of my favorite subgenres that I don't read enough, but she can set this creepy, mysterious, and she sets this tone that just draws me in and that makes me feel like everything is, I can't expect anything. I can't trust anything on the page. It's so hard to describe her tone. It's gothic. Her tone is gothic. That was easy to describe. I feel like she could take any story and create this mysterious, creepy, odd tone around it, and it's something that I just dive into and eat up. Next category is characters. Now, let me tell you something about this daggum challenge tag thing. It was stressful to make my list because I could have put so many different authors in each of these categories, and since I'm not even trying for cohesiveness, it was difficult to do. So, characters. So many good choices, but I chose Frederick Bachman. The reason I chose Bachman for this is because even though Bachman has so many strengths, I think one of the things that he does better than most any other author I've read is he has this deep level of understanding of humans and humanity. He has this ability to really understand the depths of a person and then write his characters in a way that portrays those depths, those fears, those insecurities, the pain, the flaws, everything in a way that is so transparent, that's so subtle and nuanced, yet at the same time you read it and you just feel understood by his works, by his books, by his characters. Yes, I'm going to read Anxious People as soon as I'm done with Oathbringer. I'm waiting, actually Corey and I are going to read it together. Anyway, Bachman, writing characters, absolutely. Next category is magic systems. So, again, this one was a little bit hard because there's a lot of phenomenal authors out there. My problem is I had to make sure that so many authors hit so many categories. So here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of predictable authors on this list, but they're not going to be in the place that you would predict them to be. Here we go, Jordan. Robert Jordan is easily the author. I should get his book. Robert Jordan definitely deserves this spot. If you're interested, I have a video where I talk about all of my top magic systems and I go into depth about what these magic systems are, what they look like. I'll link it in the corner. Robert Jordan, his magic systems in this world are so cool. They're based off of elemental magic, but then they are so much more complex and nuanced than that, and I loved the way this magic system is described, weaving a pattern, taking the threads of the different parts of the magic and weaving them together into a specific pattern that does a specific thing. It's so visual, it's so cool, and I really loved his magic system in the Wheel of Time series. Villains! Another difficult category, another author that could have fit in many categories. I'm going with Joe Abercrombie for this one. The reason is because in his first Law trilogy, almost all of his characters are very morally gray. And really, it's not that, I really enjoy following the characters that are not necessarily the hero, but following either the morally gray or the outright bad guy. And Joe has this way of delivering this level of depth and humanity to all of his characters that even the villains, I just want more page time with them. Even the antagonists, even the bad guys, I just need more from them. And generally, a villain the antagonist isn't really a character that I pay much attention to or care that much about. I don't know why, I just don't find villains that compelling. Joe Abercrombie adds so much depth to every single character that he puts on the page that even the villain, I want more from. Even the bad guys, I want more from. Now, I'm holding up a series, I'm holding up a book where the main characters are not cool. I think that Joe can write any character, morally gray, downright bad, with a level of depth that makes them so compelling. Which means that he could also be in the characters category. A lot of these authors can be in multiple categories. The hero of this story is going to be written by Brandon Sanderson. I thought a lot about this, and the reason I put Sanderson in this category instead of magic systems or world building is because I find that I typically am more interested and invested in side characters than I am in the main character that we follow. But that is not true for Sanderson. We have Kaladin, Dalinar, Shallan. All of these characters are incredibly compelling. For the Mistborn trilogy, we have Ven, incredibly compelling character with a lot of depth to her, someone that I loved following. And over there on my sci-fi shelf, we have Skyward, Spensa, who is, as I've said many times before, the single most YA teen girl character that I have related to the most. Written by a middle-aged man, I related to Spensa so much. She's such a fully fleshed out, real, nuanced character, and I love her so much. Review for Skyward in the corner if you want to understand why I relate to her so much. Sanderson makes main characters that are flawed and so compelling. Next category is action. And for action sequences, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to say the writers of the Avatar series. No, I have not read The Rise of Kyoshi yet. Yes, I do plan to soon, but I have read most of the graphic novels over there by the Wheel of Time series, and I've watched Avatar, and I love it so much. And I don't know, they're technically book authors because they wrote these, and action sequences. Oh my goodness, I love the way they write them so much. Yeah, it's a little bit of a cheat, but I'm not gonna change my mind. Going off of that, we also have a separate category of battles. Again, this author could have held many categories, but I put Tolkien in my category for battles. Now, I know that there's a lot of discussion around some people love Tolkien's battle sequences, some people don't. I do. I think that they're very well written. I think that they're very exciting and compelling, and I love the way he writes them. But that's not why he's in this category. The reason he's in this category is because I love falling action. After the battle is done, I want to see the consequences of that battle. I want to see the consequences of the world after the war has finished. I want to see the consequences of the crew after what they've just been through, both emotionally and physically. I want to see the falling action. And Tolkien very intentionally, very purposefully puts a lot of focus on that falling action. It's an integral part of his story because it's an integral part of what he was trying to convey to the reader. I love Tolkien's falling action. I think he writes great battles, but he's in this category specifically because of what comes after the battles, which I think ties well together. For plot, I chose Scott Lynch. Again, Scott Lynch could fit into many categories, but I love his plot lines. Now, I know this is another thing that a lot of readers argue about. I think that book 1 is well received. Book 2 has some mixed reviews, but generally well received. And book 3, the plot isn't as strong. And I agree that the plot of book 3 isn't as strong. But he still writes it so compellingly. He has these intricate, very detailed, nuanced plots that have these little threads that are all over the place, and then when they come together, it's so purposeful, so intentional, and to me, that's my favorite kind of plot. There are a lot of authors that I could have put in this category that do that have a lot of little threads going on that all come together in this big, catastrophic, amazing way. Intentionality is my favorite author trait. Intentionality of prose, intentionality of plot, intentionality of characters, and Scott Lynch has such intentional plots. And even though I found book 3 much less compelling in plot, I don't care. Scott Lynch can write a plot for me any day. Next category is world building. And okay, while there are many authors that could have and arguably should have taken the spot for this one, I chose Michael Crichton. The reason I chose Michael Crichton is because I love how environmental his world building is. So I've read 2 of his books now, Jurassic Park and Timeline, over there on my sci-fi shelf, and in both of these, they're set in our world with sci-fi elements to it. They're not futuristic, they're just advanced technology, and the way he immerses me in the science of his stories before he begins the plot, before he even starts moving. But then when he does move, he moves so fast, and he can because he spent so much time building it up in a non-info dumpy way, delivering me the mechanics of how this world is different with this new technology in a way that is so immersive that I feel like without info dumping, he's delivered me all the information I need in order to run pace along with his characters when everything starts going wrong. I know he's a sci-fi author, and it's odd to put him in a world building category, but I don't care. Crichton gets the cake. Next category is romance, and this was surprisingly easy for me to do because even though I'm not a big fan of romance having a heavy element in my stories most of the time, especially not in a non-romance centric story, if it's a fantasy or whatever. Okay, anyway. I do have one romance author who she is not exclusively romance. She writes comedies, she writes gothic style stories, she writes literary fiction, it's a social commentary a lot of the time. There's a lot that she covers. I think it's pretty obvious who I've chosen now, so I'll just get the book. Jane Austen, this is the white book set right here is my Jane Austen set. Jane Austen, no matter what genre she's writing, she has a romance that takes a big focus of her story, which is why she's pegged as a romance author and nothing more for people who haven't read her books. Jane Austen is one of the few authors that in every single book of hers that I read, I am fully invested in the romance, and I love every page that the romance is at the focal point, and arguably, I just want more of it. She has so much going on in her stories. There's so much social commentary, there's so much humor, there's so much discussion in her stories. And despite all these things that I enjoy so much, I am always excited to get back to the romance. She writes these stories, these characters, and what they're going through in such compelling, interesting ways, and I love it. The last category for this is going to be prose. Again, a lot of these authors could have fit this category easily. Joe Abercrombie and Frederick Bachman are perfect for the prose category. Instead, I chose one of my other favorite authors who, again, could have... Okay, so I almost put... Here, let me get the... Neil Gaiman. I almost put him in tone because he has these environmental, spooky, creepy books, much like the author that I did put in tone, but I ended up putting him in prose because Neil Gaiman is one of the very few authors where not only do I love how complex his plots are and how every element that he introduces matters, and not only do I love his environment and his tone and the overall feeling that he sets for his books, not only do I love his characters, not only do I love everything that Neil Gaiman does, but also, I love his prose. He's one of the few authors that he could write about anything and I would be fully captivated because of the way he puts words on a page. Bachman is also in that category that you could write about anything, and the way they word things, the way they form their sentences just enamors me no matter what the subject matter is. And that is just such a rare writing quality for me. I love Gaiman's prose. I will read anything this man writes because I just want to read how it's written. So there you go. That's my perfect book. It's a jumbled up mess. It's not cohesive at all, but I'm gonna read it. So there you go. That's my perfect book. Because this is a challenge video, I'm going to challenge a couple of my friends. I'm going to challenge Michael Knipp, Catherine Reeds, and Call Me After Coffee. All three will be linked in the description. Daniel's channel will also be linked in the description as he's the first one who did this video. Be sure to chat with me more about these books and these categories in the comment section. I'd love to hear how you would build your perfect book. I post videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.